I got a poem for you. Since this is the final chapter of our Spider-Man saga, we would have to go out, with a bang. And I got a little poem. You may remember it or recognize it. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size. Catches thieves just like flies. Look out. Here comes the Spider-Man. Now this part, it just makes me think of Joe Biden for some reason. Is he strong? Listen, Jack, he's got radioactive blood. Take a look overhead. Hey, there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Wealth and fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward. To him, life is great. Big bang up, I don't know what that means. Wherever there's a hang up, you'll find the Spider-Man. So with that last little stanza, I think Spider-Man's into orgies.
Either that or he's just kicks a lot of ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what that was the 60s theme, right?
Oh yeah, but everyone remembers that. Like shit, we were born in the 80s and we still remember that. Did you guys ever watch like the old 60s cartoons?
Yes.
Like we used to rent them.
Yeah, I watched Disney that Plus, and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends with him and Iceman, and I forget the female superhero that was in that one. So I watched that one.
I watched Namor and the like Fantastic Four, those really old ones.
Yeah.
Those were always awesome. And
yeah, those were the theme songs the theme songs in themselves was a story back then. I think my favorite, it has nothing to do with Spider-Man, is Johnny Quest. That was probably my favorite theme song from that time. It had the meanest fucking bass line you could think of.
We're talking Spider-Man Homecoming, No Way Homecoming. I always get the second one wrong.
Far From
Home and No Way Home, the John Watts trilogy, and the ending of the Homecoming series, which is now we're up to date. But yeah, this is what we're going to be talking about. And the spoiler alert, big time, just because we are talking about No Way Home, but for the most part, if you haven't seen it, it was the biggest movie of 2021, probably almost 2022, until Multiverse of Madness comes out.
Yeah, it was number 7. It's the number 7
all time
highest grossing. Yeah.
Yep.
And I loved it. I truly did enjoy it. I went to the drive-in to go see it, and it was quite the experience. But yeah, man, Spider-Man Homecoming. What can I say? Let's get into the production before we get into the film. So,
did you guys want to bring up the initial, basically how Sony and Marvel came up with the deal to co-produce this? Because this all started in 2015, and right?
I saw 14.
Yeah,
I saw 14 after the hacking of Sony's computers and emails. Both the co-chair and the president were released from Sony because of that.
Yeah.
And Marvel wanted to start producing their Spider-Man films, but talks ended up breaking down between them and Sony because Sony has the marketing, creative control, and distribution. So that became a whole big thing. But Kevin
that? Because I know the Sony breach you said happened in 2013? 14. Because the February, I think you're thinking after Far From Home, because I know that happened where they were like, the rights were getting taken away and no one knew what was going on. Because in February 2015, Marvel and Sony reached a deal to share the film rights. And that's how they got them into the MCU, which Civil War technically was the first one.
And that's right. And we should preface that Spider-Man Homecoming was his movie, but Civil War was his introduction into the MCU, which was a great little ad, because when that commercial came out and Tony and Cap are about to square off and he's like, Underoos! And then
I was fucking flipping when I saw that.
Yeah. And Spidey shows up and he has those telescopic lenses. He's like, hey guys. I thought that was great. I really
that was my shit.
And I never go to the movies when these type of previews come out, because you want to be around fans when they're screaming like that. The only time I got to experience that fully was when I went to go see Civil War, and everybody in there, I shit you not, was wearing the superhero shirt of the hero that they were rooting for at that time. You were either Tony or you were either Cap or you were rooting for one of the other heroes in there. I went and grabbed, it was a Target right next door because all the guys I was with had shirts and I didn't have one. And I was like, man, I got to go grab one real quick. And I went and grabbed a quick little Ant-Man shirt, and we went in there, and that battle at the airport, and then Spider-Man shows up, everyone was screaming. I mean, they were just screaming. I mean, the decibels were just off the charts because Spider-Man is a worldwide icon. So Tom Holland was a good pick because I liked how Tony narrowed it down to figure out who he was, and he was wearing the ski mask with the goggles, his makeshift outfit. So he was wearing that, and I thought that the introduction was great, which led me to your point, Don. Last week, I could see the Uncle Ben in Tony when he was sitting with Aunt May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that. And I had to do a little research to ask where was Uncle Ben in the MCU. He was there. He's just deceased. They never bring it up. Kevin Feige said it had already been addressed. It was no real need to bring it up. But the great power with great responsibility was already in the MCU because Jessica Jones had heard it and all these other characters in the Defenders had heard it. So... Yeah, because she said, if you say with great power comes great responsibility, I'm gonna fucking kill you or some shit like that.
Oh shit! I was gonna say, did they say that to what's his name, Iron
Luke
Fist? No, I was gonna say Iron Fist, or was it just like, hey, try to act, bud, try to act out of this wet paper bag?
That guy was horrible, man, for that role, and he looked like. I'm doing a little tongue in cheek because if you haven't followed our Twitter, it was very active this weekend. and he looked like JT. He looked like Justin Timberlake with that hair. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I'm from the bottom of my heart, I'm saying, please don't put no more JT on Twitter. I don't want to ever see his face on my Twitter feed. Jesus. But hey, man, that's all a part of the fun. But yes, it was in the Defenders, so Uncle Ben was in MCU. They just felt like they didn't need to keep beating that horse. Same thing with showing Pete getting bit by that spider. It didn't need to be shown again. It had already been established. We just wanted to see, I say we like I was in the production. They wanted to focus on him in high school. What was his life in high school like? So
they totally told Andrew Garfield to fuck off. Good for them.
Yeah, more or less. To be honest, and I thought about it too. I felt bad for Andrew Garfield, mainly because he is a great actor. I think it was just bad direction, bad writing all around, just bad movies that he was in. Yeah. I think he would be a great Spider-Man, but like too cool Peter Parker.
But they wanted someone younger too, and Garfield at that time when
wasn't
Civil War
40?
Came out. Yeah, when Civil War came out, was probably not at the right age compared to. He would have been an adult like the rest of the characters. They wanted to have somebody young and fresh come in and play that part. But
it was part of Phase 3, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was Phase 3.
I was going to say, we didn't touch on the fact that they did have an MJ in the Amazing Spider-Man films, but she was cut out. Shailene Woodley, what's his name? Green Bay Packers?
Aaron Rodgers' girlfriend or wife or fiance.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Talking about the size of his dick. Anyways.
What?
So, you didn't hear that? She was talking about how well endowed he was. And I'm like, Shailene Woodley, where'd you at Standing Rock and, being she was like this Ugg boot Starbucks protester kind of white woman.
Yeah, she also, I remember that the pipeline, right? Didn't she protest at the pipeline and got arrested for that?
Yeah, she did. And then she was more or less saying like, well, don't get vaxxed. Like she supported Aaron Rodgers, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
which Aaron Rodgers was getting his news from Joe Rogan, and that's a whole. Please don't get me started on that.
Yeah, but we don't have to open that fucking can of shit.
We started off with one person I can't stand, and then Joe Rogan comes into it, and both those idiots did an interview this weekend, and it was just pathetic. So anyway, let's keep going.
Well, I was gonna say the villains. There were multiple villains in this, and you don't really see that. You see, okay, Vulture, Michael
Adrian
Keaton.
Toomes. Yep, Adrian Toomes.
Perfect
Yes.
choice.
Yeah.
Because it's not only he's battling with, like, he's a father, and he's just trying to make money. He's really not even, I would say, he is a villain, but he's not a villain.
He was, like you said when we were in the beginning, a blue collar guy.
Yep.
Who had a job working for the city, but the Department of Damage Control comes in, swings their dick around, and says, "Hey, we're taking over the removal of this stuff," which wiped him out of having a business, him and his crew of guys from having a business. So he already had some of this material, and I don't know what he did beforehand where he knew how to work this stuff, but he learned how to engineer this stuff to make equipment to start robbing the Department of Damage Control.
Well, the other thing too is that you had another villain, the Tinkerer, right? The Tinkerer.
Yes, the Tinkerer, the Tinkler.
Yeah, he was there. He knew how to do all this shit. Which the Tinkerer is mostly known from, like, the Punisher comic series.
Yep.
And
Shocker.
Shocker was also in it, and Scorpion.
Prowler too, but he didn't go by Prowler at the time.
Which you think Donald Glover could play Prowler? I think if he put on, like, maybe 10, 15 pounds of muscle, he could play Prowler.
Who was Scorpion? I don't
Scorpion was the guy, he went by the name Matt Gargan in the prison. That was the guy that got blown up. Yeah, his face was Scorpion tattoo.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Which, that guy, I don't know what they were going. Okay, so let me start with this. This movie was very international, not international, but very diverse, because Adrian's wife is black, and they have a black daughter, which I thought was interesting. MJ is not Mary Jane; she's some other.
Wait, John, you said his wife is black, and they have a black daughter. Like, well, yeah.
Yeah, she was.
That's generally what happens, John.
Yeah, no. I'm saying I know that, but I'm saying they didn't even try to find a daughter that was mixed. That's what I'm saying.
They could have gone with Zendaya.
She
didn't look mixed to you.
Well, Zendaya.
I mean, Zendaya is mixed, but I'm just saying the character that they had in the movie, Adrian Toomes' daughter, looked like that could have been his stepdaughter. It didn't look like it was a mixture of him, and that's what I was saying.
So she looked mixed. She just didn't look like
with that.
She didn't look like Michael Keaton's character's daughter.
Yeah. Yes. So you had that, and then MJ.
She was fine, by the way.
Yeah, she was, and MJ was.
I know she was dressed down. I'm sorry, John.
The characters.
I'm walking over you. I'm not gonna.
The characters in high school. Come on, keep your composure.
All right.
Well, you know what? I think
all right.
wasn't the wife played by Garcella Beauvais, who was Jamie Foxx's girlfriend on the Jamie Foxx show?
Fox show, yeah.
Was that her?
Fancy.
Yeah, I believe so.
It sure was. Good call, John.
Yeah. That was her, and I like the whole Vulture character. If people don't remember, in the comic and in the cartoon series, he was an older, much geriatric character who would fly and absorb the youth from characters. That's what he would.
Mr. Burns with wings.
Mr. Burns with wings. Yeah, a Mr. Burns with wings.
Wasn't that suit like keeping him alive? I believe, or it was
something like that. It was some sort of
like he had to do that, like to live,
to keep his youth. Because I remember, and it's so. I mean, Spider-Man animated series was so fucking good, but I remember he absorbed Spider-Man's powers when Spider-Man had that mutation that was turning him into Man-Spider, and he didn't realize it. So now he started turning into the Man-Spider Vulture, which was wild. Yeah, it was crazy.
You gotta love cartoons.
Got to, man. It's just they blow shit out of proportion. But okay, so back to yes, you had a whole bunch of interesting characters. These guys were all blue collar. None of them were like engineers or anything like that. They just were guys who knew how to work around machinery. So they came up with these different weapons to use to combat the Department of Damage Control, which was led by Tyne Daly, the actress who was Cagney of Cagney and Lacey, I think.
Oh.
So I'm sorry, that's my old man in me.
Oh, you're good. I can't remember the original Shocker, because the original Shocker dies within, spoiler alert, dies within like the first 20 minutes.
I love that.
He crosses the Vulture.
Much.
And then I cannot remember the actor's name, but he was
Joaquin Woodbine.
Okay. The only thing whenever I see him in any movie, I just remember the lines from The Big Hit, straight jacking. It's just like he just figures out for the first time how to masturbate. Yeah. And so he's like buying chamomile, none of that chamomile shit. He's buying
He's an incredible actor. I like that guy.
He is so awesome. And The Big Hit is a terrible movie, but it is good. It's good bad. It's like one of those movies you watch where it's just like, oh, this is fucking terrible, but it's so good.
Yeah.
And so bad at the same time.
Yeah, so Shocker was Joaquin Woodbine. Another surprise for me was Jennifer Connelly, who played Betty Ross, was the voice of Karen, who was the AI in Peter's suit. Yeah.
Oh, I had no fucking idea.
Yeah, I had to look that up, but Homecoming. So since we're talking about Spider-Man, and we're going to get into the other two movies, but I got to ask you off point, do you guys feel this was it for Tom Holland, or do you think Tom Holland's going to come back?
He's going to come back. They're in negotiations right now. Is he going to have his own film? I think so. I think it's going to get dark. But the other thing too is that I forgot what artist it was, but this artist technically does stuff for Sony, and he did a drawing where a hand is going into the symbiote. Yeah. It's black, like it looks like black tar. And he basically says a message on there, I think it's on his Instagram, saying like, I can't wait to get back to work. We don't know if it's Tom Holland or if it's Andrew Garfield. Supposedly, there might be an Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Oh,
that's the rumor that's going around right now. And if that's the case...
Oh, boy.
Cool.
Here we go.
You know, I think Andrew Garfield deserves better direction, a better writer. And if you get that, especially if you have John Watts doing it and like you have the guys that wrote the screenplay for this one, I think, well, John Watts wrote part of it, but like Goldstein and Daly, and there were a couple other people that did it too. But if you have like a great writing team and a great director, shit, man, you can't lose. But I'm hoping that it is Tom Holland and he gets like the symbiote and everything, and we finally get like a Venom in the MCU.
I would love to see who they get for Eddie Brock, since Brock is gone back to his multiverse. Who would they give for Eddie Brock for this universe? Would it be?
It's got to be someone muscular, like it's
and older. It got to be older. So
Howie Long.
I would. Howie Long again?
Fucking Howie Long, man. I'm okay with that.
We've been trying to get him
Howie
for
Long
years.
is like, yes. So he's like
how many knee replacements has he had?
he's like a grizzled investigative reporter who is struggling, you know, at the Daily Bugle or what? Well, it wouldn't be the Daily Bugle.
Yeah, they didn't. Did they mention that?
The Daily Bugle is like what
it's like InfoWars.
Yeah, he'd be like it has to be someone who's an intern under J. Jonah Jameson.
Well, I would say what you said, like a hard-nosed, like investigative journalist. And I'm trying to think of who hasn't been in the MCU that could play them. That's like a
Bryan Cranston.
What?
Bryan Cranston.
The dad from
Breaking Bad, I'm in. Yeah.
Breaking Bad and the dad from Malcolm in the Middle.
Fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
He'd be a great actor to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just thinking of good actors.
Let's give ourselves a second here to think who would be our choice. And I'm trying to go through like the different actors and actresses.
Do we dare go through the diversity pool with this? Because you know Marvel will do that sometimes.
What about Timothy Chalamet?
I heard they were interested in him. Actually, they were interested. Speaking about casting Peter Parker, they were interested at one point
in him doing it.
Yeah,
he's gonna play. I'm interested to see him as he's gonna be playing young Willy Wonka coming up.
Oh, that's a good
it's
choice.
Gonna be the sexy Willy Wonka or something.
Yeah, I know. Like
Yeah.
gets people going.
He's a good
Little
actor.
woman boners. He's great. I liked Dune for what it was.
Yes.
And I'm
Don't
mad
Look
at
Up.
myself for not watching that and
Shit.
Don't Look Up.
Jake-
DiCaprio?
No,
As-
Jason
oh.
Momoa.
Jason Momoa is Venom?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
That might
Hell
be
yeah.
too on the nose. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
That's
Or he could do a Kraven the Hunter.
Kraven the Hunter, which I
Yeah.
read is they were looking at introducing him in Black Panther, but they didn't.
Oh,
That
wow.
would have been interesting to see Kraven. But Kraven is going to be played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, the guy who played Kick-Ass.
That played Quicksilver.
Yes. They're
What?
recycling
That makes they're recycling him.
Yeah.
Like the fucking dude from you guys probably haven't seen Deadwood, but like there's one guy that gets killed and then they bring him back as another character. I'm like, wait, that's the same dude.
Yeah. But
That's fucking stupid. I'm sorry. That's stupid.
Yeah. But they did the same thing with I can understand it coming from DC
What was
to
that, Doc?
Marvel.
What? Yeah, you're acting like me last time. Just be fired up. You okay?
So yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson is going to play Kraven, and that ought to be interesting, given he was Quicksilver, but Quicksilver died, so they wouldn't be able to bring him back when the mutants get introduced. So I don't know. That's weird. I don't know if they think the fans are stupid, where they're going to not pay attention to that.
I know Jason Momoa wants to play Aquaman, but like that's kind of over. You know, I don't know. To me, like the first Aquaman was okay.
Yeah.
Black Manta, that's a really cool character. That's a ridiculous helmet.
It's too big. It's too
I know.
big.
I know it, like in the comic book it's massive and
Yeah.
whatnot, like big ass lasers come out of it, but come on. Like I think that's why Marvel's probably more successful than DC.
Their stuff translates a lot better
Yep.
because if you look at Ulysses Claw, who was the villain in Black Panther, his hand cannon was his prosthetic hand that opened up to release the laser. It wasn't a legitimate like cannon
Yeah.
like in the comics. So they try to make things that kind of relate to, and I will give Stan Lee credit. Stan Lee said that DC never explains how things get done. With Marvel, they try to explain it through science. Like this is how this is done. So
Well, look at Nolan's Batman and how better that was compared to like Burton's did really well.
Yeah.
But then you get cartoony and ridiculous in Shoemaker's, Mockers films, and then I call people by the wrong name because it's a power play. I'm an alpha, so I have to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you look at Schumacher, and then you look at Zack Snyder's Batman, which, don't get me wrong, Ben Affleck, I thought was a good Batman.
I did
grizzled,
too.
tough, but at the same time, it wasn't as realistic. Like, you look at Ben Affleck, I'm like, he's that powerful all the time. But, like, Nolan's Batman made more sense to me because it was kind of within the realm of reality. And Marvel is not... It is fantasy in some respects, but it's, I don't know, with at least Spider-Man, because you have Batman and Spider-Man probably have the best rogue gallery out of all the superheroes.
They do. And I think what makes, and can I just say, even though I'm looking forward to the Batman, I am not looking forward to it being 3 fucking hours long.
I don't know, man. I don't think this movie's going to do well. And it kind of,
think so?
Yeah. I don't think so, man.
I think that what's going to end up happening is they're going to do way too much, and it's going to just wear people down. And we're back to Spider-Man. Homecoming brought the basis of Spider-Man in school. You met his homeboy Ned, the guy in the chair. He wasn't established with MJ, and these were outsiders. They weren't nerds per se. They were outsiders, like Don has said before. Flash Thompson was played by a person of color. I thought that was interesting, and he was a bully to Peter Parker. I thought Tony coming and giving him that suit rather than him making his own suit was interesting, because I've always wondered, how does he get the material to make these suits? I've always wondered that with Spider-Man. He's gone from homemade suits to these latex suits, because remember, Tobey was drawing the drawings for his suit. where'd they get the material from, though? I've always wondered that.
I don't know, Michaels. Hey, real quick, Tony Revolori plays Flash.
Okay, Tony Revolori. So it was a very diverse cast, and I liked Michael Keaton as Vulture, as you stated before, Aaron, because what I found so fun about him was that on the scenes where him and Tom Holland had to fight, he would make Tom Holland laugh every time they would fight. And Tom Holland was asked, what was he saying to you that would make you laugh? He was like, every time they would get up close, he'd be like, I'm Batman. He said it would just make him laugh every time. And I liked Adrian Toomes being like this. I didn't pity, not pity. I wasn't mad at why he was going through what he was going through. He had to support his family, man.
Yeah.
You know, like his job got taken away. He was just like, this is bullshit. Like the war in New York happened. We're the ones that normally clean up the stuff. S.H.I.E.L.D. comes in. It's like, no, we're going to handle it because of all the alien tech. And they pretty much just steamrolled these guys. And he's like, no, I'm not going with that.
Said, I bought these trucks. Bought these trucks. Promised all these men. And she's like, well, it sounded like you overextended yourself.
Yeah, like, for real? Like, that's what you said.
Bad business practices.
Yeah. And the Vulture outfit was not too far-fetched.
Yeah, it was cold.
Like it was the wings, you had the claws, and you had the helmet that had almost the beak motif on it. So
and the bomber jacket, which was kind of what the Vulture had around his neck, you know, it made it look like it was a vulture's neck.
Yes, it did. So I thought that was a really clean look. And I liked how it was functional, because when he broke into that Stark jet to get the Chitauri weaponry, and how the wings you guys remember the wings kind of folded into like a safety net for him to go in, do what he needed to do, and come back out.
Yeah.
But I also like the subplot, which was Spider-Man finally accepting that you're a hero regardless of what suit you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was so reliant on the tech that he wasn't relying on his skills as being a superhero. So I thought that was interesting too. And you know, this story was pretty crisp. I didn't find anything in it that annoyed me. I guess I was just excited too, because I'm like, oh, Disney has Spider-Man now. You know, so yeah. I guess that's my fault as a fan for getting too in love with Disney, but I was curious to see that. Which, by the way, Disney opened up the Avengers campus in Disneyland, and they
Disney is a horrible company.
Yeah,
they are terrible people that run that company.
Don't you talk about my Disney
bullshit. What are you, one of those fucking like adults that's obsessed with Disney? So back in the day, I almost dated a girl that was like, and I didn't, mainly because her obsession with Disney. And I'm talking Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Pluto, like Goofy, to the point where it was weird and she was almost sexualizing and fetishizing that stuff. Like, I honestly thought that I was going to have to dress up like Pluto and fucking, you know, take a dump on her chest. So,
well,
would you have done it?
Disney.
No response on that.
Yeah.
No. While we're talking about Disney real quick, they're trying to revamp. Did you see what they did with Minnie? They put her in a pantsuit now. She's not wearing a skirt anymore.
She going on interviews?
Indeed. She's on Indeed.
Yeah,
now.
she's Indeed. Get the fuck out of here.
So they wanted to update
She's running
her.
for the presidency. She's Hillary Clinton's running mate.
So they put her in a pantsuit, and a famous right-wing individual was very upset with that, and Twitter kind of went off. So it was.
Is it the one that has the nasally voice?
It's the one, Mandis Bowens.
I have no idea. I thought it might have been. He was on Rogan so many times.
Oh no, it was a woman, and she was upset because she's like, "Oh, you know, this is the collapse of Western civilization. We're taking characters out of gender roles and so on and so forth." It's
Minnie Mouse. Give me a fucking break.
Like I'm not losing any sleep over Minnie wearing a pantsuit, you know. And if it's decent, so what? And plus, I don't expect her to wear a skirt all year round. Who does that? This isn't the 50s.
Fucking Donald wears a sailor outfit, and he sure as shit wasn't in the Navy.
Yeah, so I mean, if Donald were to put on pants, will we be mad? It's cold as hell sometimes. What's the problem?
No, throw him in a dress. See how he does.
Oh. So a kilt.
Yeah,
well,
you
know what? Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah. Boom. Yes, he wears a fucking kilt. Should we move on to Far From Home?
Yeah, so Far From Home. Okay, we're back with Spider-Man, but I assume Far From Home, Tony's dead now, right?
Yes, Tony Stark died in Endgame.
So Far From Home. Now we know Peter's going on a field trip. JB Smoove is his teacher.
My guy. That's my guy.
Caesar from the Caesar commercials. That's my dude.
Yeah.
So JB Smoove is his teacher. And they are getting ready to go to Europe. We find out from Nick Fury that there's a disturbance over there, that these elemental beings are showing up and causing havoc. And we find out that from another universe, there's a hero known as Mysterio who's here to stop them. So Nick Fury tells Peter to team up with Mysterio to work on finding a way to stop these elementals. Pretty much that's what's going on. But there's a underlying thing. Mysterio is obviously a liar, and they're manipulating the system. But we do get introduced to a new set of tech, which is the E.D.I.T.H glasses.
Yeah.
And E.D.I.T glasses were given to him by Tony, which stands for Even Dead, I'm the Hero. So that was pretty funny. And the E.D.I.T glasses control a lot of tech that is at Peter's disposal. Now, my gripe is he still didn't learn. I thought he learned from the first movie, don't rely on this tech like that. But he relies on it to do what he needs to do while he's in Europe. So he kind of falls back to old ways in this one. Would I be wrong in thinking that's something to pick at? Or
well, my gripe is Tony Stark left a whole fucking arsenal to this young kid that's still in high school. That made no motherfucking sense to me. Even though I thought it was funny, but I thought that was the first time I was kind of scratching my head like, why the hell would Tony Stark leave it to him?
And did we say, I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. Did you say that Endgame had happened already before Homecoming? Because the blip did happen because one of the characters was trying to out him. Came back from the blip.
Spider-Man Homecoming happened, and then it was Infinity War and Endgame after that.
Well, I'm saying Far From Home, some of the characters who were in the blip showed up.
Yeah, Far From Home happens after Endgame.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Tony's already dead.
Tony's dead.
So it was Spider-Man Homecoming and then Black Panther and then Infinity Wars? Or no, it was Spider-Man Homecoming, Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, and then Infinity Wars.
Maybe.
That was, in that phase, in that sequence of movies, Marvel put out.
The Infinity Saga.
Yeah.
Which, okay, real quick, do you think that all this was planned at first? I don't think it was. I think then they started planning it down the line, but
I think this was plan B. I think I read that this was plan B. Plan A, they were going to do something else, but plan A, I think they didn't have Spider-Man included because they weren't sure they were going to get it. And then plan B was, if Spider-Man comes, we'll change everything around.
So are we saying from the beginning, like from when first Iron Man came out, was Infinity Wars plan? Or we're saying
I know for a fact Infinity Wars was not planned. They wanted to do an Avengers movie, like an ensemble movie. That's all they had thought about. And then after Avengers, what are we going to do next? Well, we're going to introduce Thanos. What do we want to do with him? He's going to be the main baddie of all this. I think it just everything, they got really lucky. I think that's what it was, is that it was luck, because a lot of things changed. Even Thanos's look changed over.
Yes, it did. Because they didn't know it was going to be Josh Brolin. I didn't mean to overstep. I'm sorry.
No. You're good. You're good. Yeah. Josh Brolin.
Yeah. They didn't think it was going to be him.
Yeah.
But in regards to Far From Home, we find out that these elementals have been a ploy by Mysterio. I was just about to call him Magneto. It's been a ploy by Mysterio
played by Jake Gyllenhaal,
who was considered a Spider-Man runner for the 2000 Spider-Man. So we find out that Jake Gyllenhaal's character used to work for Tony Stark and that he got fired and he wanted some payback. He wanted some get back. So what he did was, with his team, came up with these different type of machines to be able to create these elementals. And it was all in all to get a hold of those glasses.
The drones and everything. And more or less, once he got the glasses, because he built most of the tech, and all of the people that are around him are people that worked for Stark at some point that are all pissed off. He needs to get the glasses so they can unleash all those drones to, more or less.
So that's what's going on. What did you guys think about Mysterio as a villain in this movie?
I think Mysterio is one of the most powerful villains around, and I don't think people give him his due. I thought how they did it was very smart, and with drone technology and whatnot. I wish maybe they used him in a different way, but I don't know. I think what they did was pretty good, but Mysterio is he's so fucking powerful as a villain. So I don't think they used him as well as they could have.
Okay, I can see that. I also like the fact that he was
So his story, more or less, or what he tells Fury, is that he is, because of what happened in Endgame, they opened up the multiverse and whatnot. He was able to come through because it tore something, tore a rip in the time continuum or whatever, and he was able to come through. So he's saying that he is a hero from a different place where it's completely destroyed, and he came here to follow the elementals to take them out so they don't destroy the world like they destroyed his world, but in reality, he's just lying through his fucking teeth.
But I mean, what was his role at Stark? That's what I'm curious to know.
He was like Tony's right-hand man. He was doing the AI in the scene where he's talking to his father, and he's way too crazy, and so they have to get rid of him. The other thing too is the fact that Mysterio is so powerful. Everyone forgets Old Man Logan. The reason why Wolverine goes berserk is because Mysterio makes him think that everyone is a villain that's coming into Xavier's mansion and fucking eviscerates all the X-Men and all these superheroes. And then he goes off to be by himself. That's basically the start of the Old Man Logan series. Mysterio tricks him and he fucking goes into a berserker rage.
I didn't know that. I do remember reading a X-Men comic when Spider-Man first got introduced, and Spider-Man is fighting Wolverine. He's fighting pretty much the A-Team X-Men, the Nightcrawler, all those guys. And Wolverine is he's making us look like a rookie because Spider-Man was kicking their ass. And that was the very first introduction of Spider-Man versus before they knew that they were all on the same side.
Yeah.
So I'm reading, he was a holographic illusionist specialist who masquerades as a superhero from Earth 833 in the multiverse. So the multiverse had already been established in this film. So the other side of this too was there was another subplot. We didn't know that Samuel L. Jackson's character was off-world at the time. That those were the Skrulls. Playing as him, the Skrulls from Captain Marvel, which I thought was not explained well. I guess he was on vacation or something like that.
Well, did you see? So recently when they showed all the Marvel stuff, it was like a sneak peek, and you see Nick Fury, you see him and he's he looks fucked up. He looks haggard a little bit, and that's for Secret
Wars. Yeah.
Which, if you read the series, it's basically the Skrulls are trying to take over and they're becoming superheroes, so you don't know who's who. But in this series, weirdly enough, they are good guys. Captain Marvel.
I had to look that up. So what the premise is that what I found was Skrulls are good and bad. They're not all bad like we've been led to believe. It's just like any group of people. There's some good and there's some bad. It just so happens that this group is really a good group, and they are lost and they're just trying to find their way home. And the Nova Corps was annihilating them because they didn't want evidence to come out.
That wasn't Nova Corps, was it?
Or not Nova Corps. It was the group that Captain Marvel's a part of.
It was the same group that
Ronan the Accuser.
Yeah.
I forget.
I forget their name too. Damn it.
But yeah, it bugs me that I don't remember. But yeah, they were there. So the next thing too is Quentin Beck does all this stuff where he screws with Spider-Man's mind during the penultimate battle between them two. But he has one last trick up his sleeve.
The Kree.
The Kree. There you go. He releases the Spider-Man's full identity to the public. And we're left with not only MJ knowing, but we're left with finding out that our guy, J. Jonah Jameson, who I'm glad they brought back, the same actor.
I think he lobbied to get back into it.
I couldn't
like
see
himself.
Anybody else doing it. Yeah, I couldn't see anybody else doing it. He has that very strong timbre of a voice.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like somebody else doing Darth Vader. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, I just
J.K. Simmons is the man.
Yeah. And he pokes fun at himself because now he's balding. He doesn't have that high tower haircut.
Yeah.
And it's more of an info war. They try to update it. Dailybugle.net.
No, I love that, man.
Yeah. So I thought that was good. It wasn't a news. Because let's be realistic. The periodics are a dying breed right now, you know, as far as on television, as far as newspapers are concerned. So it was interesting that they did the dailybugle.net.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons, yeah. Did you ever see him in, what was that movie?
That's what I was gonna fucking say. Holy shit. Yeah, that's all I remembered him from before Spider-Man. I'm like, wait, that's the guy from Oz. Didn't he... Okay.
Raped a lot of people.
And the movie Whiplash with that guy you don't like, Miles Teller. Did you ever see that?
I did see it, and actually I thought it was pretty good, but that's where Miles Teller got an inflated ego and thought he was Boss Hoss of fucking acting world, which in reality he ain't. Sorry.
That's the drumming movie, right? I didn't see it.
Yeah, that's the drumming movie.
It's really good.
Is it like Drumline?
Oh my God. No. And Drumline, hands down, one of the best movies about drumlines and marching bands on the face of the planet. Nick Cannon,
despise that movie, man.
You did?
I despise that movie.
It's a movie about persevering through, you know, like, I don't know, possibly. I don't remember.
You can't even think of a bullshit answer to come up with.
Well, isn't it one of those like kind of semi like ridiculous stereotypical stories? Like he comes from the hood and he's marching in this, you know, band that's
HBCU band, and he's the kid that he has all the talent, but he doesn't know how to read the music.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you have the guy who knows the music but doesn't have that type of talent, and they bump heads. It's one of those movies where I'm like, you know, it's like, what's the other movie that he did? Can't Buy Me Love? Him and
all I ever think about is what is it? The Chappelle Show. It's like Nick Cannon's hilarious.
Yeah, that little kid. Yeah.
That's his actual son.
Yeah.
Was it? Oh, that was his oldest one. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. I thought he looked like, oh man, this kid kind of looks, dumbass.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Fighting for my fucking life out.
All right. So Far From Home, the release of what's going on, Quentin Beck says the guy who killed me is Peter Parker. Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And then J. Jonah Jameson has the information, he releases it, and it goes buck wild. And it ends with Spider-Man saying, what the, you know, so it ends with that. But then there's a post-credit scene where Nick Fury is up in space looking for his shoes because he finds out what's going on. So there's that. So then we get into Spider-Man No Way Home, where Don and I seen it. Aaron, you seen it?
I haven't seen it
He's
yet.
visualized it in his mind, but
the thing is that I got it ruined for me. And then, so after that point, I just went on YouTube and watched all the like important scenes.
It happened to me too. So what we'll say is Spider-Man No Way Home, we get the release of everything that's going on. So we are caught up. People are starting to attack Spider-Man. Oh, let's preface this. If you haven't seen the movie yet, shame on you.
Hey.
Yeah, shame on you.
Shame on you. If you haven't seen the movie yet. But if you don't want to hear this part, I would skip ahead. We don't know how many minutes yet, but go
definitely
ahead
a big spoiler alert. We're not gonna, if you haven't seen it and you want to, wait and whatnot, I would just skip this part more or less.
Skip
Thank you for listening. We love you. And
good night.
Let us continue.
Yeah, and so we find out what's going on. J. Jonah Jameson is riding Spider-Man's ass. He's just like, oh, it's Peter Parker. It's a kid in school. He's a public menace. Da-da-da-da-da. Peter has to get MJ and swing her out of there and get her home. So he gets her home, and things can't go back to normal because he's being tracked down by the news. The news knows where he lives. It's just a whole big thing. But then he also is under investigation for vigilantism. So he's going to court, or he's about to go to court. But they get the best lawyer on the market, who is Matt Murdock. And for those who don't know, Matt Murdock is Daredevil. And they brought in the same character, Charlie Cox, who played Matt Murdock in the Daredevil series.
Man, I almost jumped out of my damn chair when I saw that guy.
That was probably the best and happiest reveal for me.
Yeah, so I didn't see that one coming.
I didn't see it either.
And unlike you guys, like, I didn't have anything ruined for me. Like, I successfully avoided all previews and everything about this movie. So I had no idea what, outside of Doctor Strange, I really didn't have any clue what it was about.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm with you on that. The only thing that really changed for me was the Sorcerer Supreme. I didn't know it changed from Wong. Yeah, it changed from Doctor Strange to Wong. I did not know that.
Well, he explained because of the blip that obviously he's not here. Somebody has to be the Supreme.
Somebody has to fill in. Yeah, so that does make sense. So Charlie Cox is there as Daredevil, and Daredevil says, or Matt Murdock says, you can do this and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, before a brick comes through the window and he catches it like without even thinking. And he's like, how did you do that? He's like, I'm a really good lawyer. That's what Daredevil says. I'm a really good lawyer. So I really like that. And I think this is just another sidebar for me. Matt Murdock is another character that I'm really fascinated with as far as Daredevil, the man without fear. He really needs a movie of his own. So I hope they come out with a Daredevil movie at some point.
I think they will, or a team up movie, like a buddy movie, which would be good with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think if he did a team up with Punisher, I think it would be too dark.
I think they should do a team up with Spider-Man where he's teaching him the ropes, while he's still young. So I don't know. That's
I don't know, man. Spider-Man's had more experience than Daredevil has.
And technically in the MCU. On a bigger scope, yes, he has, because Spider-Man has been to space. He's been doing all this stuff. You're absolutely right. So Spider-Man is public enemy number one. Everybody's bugging him. Everybody's doing this. It affects his life. It's also affecting his relationship with MJ and Ned, who are standing by him. At school.
And by the way, I love Ned. I love his friend.
I love Ned too.
He's fucking awesome. Ned too.
Yeah.
Is he in the comic? I don't think he is, right?
No, he wasn't. But
I got a feeling that he is going to become a villain now that he doesn't know who Spider-Man is, and remember what he said throughout it, where it's like,
I'm not going to be a villain, am I? Or something like that. I remember. How the hell do you know that? Damn, you really did see
I watched
everything.
Like all these fucking shit on you. They're posted all over YouTube. And after I had it ruined for me, I just went through every single scene that I could. I got as much as I could. I'm going to go see it, hopefully at some point. But yeah, I think he could be like a hobgoblin or something. Is that a hobgoblin? It's hobgoblin.
Well, he learned a new ability that I know we're going to talk about throughout.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. But he had to give that back. He gave it back to Doc. So I'll speed up. Spider-Man goes to meet with Doctor Strange, who is just getting back from a vacation with Wong. What's going on?
They went on vacation together?
Yeah, they went on vacation.
Was that
together.
a vacation?
They were somewhere.
Not
a vacation.
It looked like some kind of mission that...
They were on a mission. Yeah, they were on a mission. So what ends up happening next is he asked Doctor Strange if he could do a spell that would be strong enough to remove from people's minds the memory of him being a superhero. Wong warns him, don't use that spell because the ramifications can be a lot worse than what you think.
Somebody made a good point, though. Not to cut you off, John, but I did.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't, I know we're getting to this point, but why didn't Peter, instead of saying, hey, I want to wish, like he was a fucking genie, like, can you make a spell to have everybody forget that I'm Spider-Man? Why didn't he just say, hey, just have everybody forget what Mysterio said? Somebody made that point on Twitter. Like, that would have been
a good point.
That would have been way easier.
It would have,
yeah,
but it would have been more specific. Yeah. So,
yeah.
So then what ends up happening is Doctor Strange is getting ready to do this spell. So the spell is going off like gangbusters. It's going off well. But then what happens? Peter's like, oh, can you have Mary Jane remember, my girlfriend? Oh, can you have Pete remember? Oh, I want my aunt to remember. So all this stuff starts happening, and all these splinters start to happen to the spell until it dissipates. So everyone goes back to normal, and no one knows what has happened until Peter goes to speak with the recruiter for the school that they were trying to get into because they got denied the first time. He finds her on a bridge, which I thought was weird. Like, why would you go try to talk to her in the middle of traffic? So what ends up happening is there's a Spider-Man, of course. So there ends up being a break in the bridge. A familiar tentacle comes out, and it's Dr. Octopus. And the first thing he says is, hello, Peter, which gave me chills. I just had goosebumps. But then we also see an orange spear, which is the little pumpkin bomb. That gets thrown up there too. That happened very quickly. I think that's what led to the bridge falling apart.
I didn't notice that.
I think that's what it was. I think that's what happened. The headlights came on at that point. So because I was at the drive-in, the headlights came on. So long story short, the villains from previous movies start to appear. The multiverse is real, which we've already established with Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch. The multiverse is real. All these characters come in. Doctor Strange catches up with Peter.
How did we establish it with the Scarlet Witch?
Because she was already looking into the multiverse. She had already been dabbling with that when the series ended.
Oh, okay. That's
yeah.
where she's like doing
in
all
the
Okay, well, rewind that a little bit. What were you saying about Scarlet Witch again?
I was just saying Scarlet Witch had already established the multiverse because she was reading about it in that book she got.
Yeah.
Because she was doing the reading and she was doing different things while she was levitating. And then she heard her children in another realm. So that was the multiverse being established right there.
Yeah, she was looking for her kids.
Yeah. So let's continue. So all the villains show up from previous movies. Everybody knows that the Spider-Men have to show up too. At least the fans knew that this has to be happening. But Kevin Feige and everybody said, "Oh no, they're not in this movie." You know, it's no way.
They hid it from people for like 2 years.
Yeah. There's no reason for them to be in this movie. This is just the villains. So we get.
I was going to say real quick, with all the shit that happened with Sony, you remember like right after Far From Home, they were having issues as to, are they going to even be able to do the third one? Was this just all kind of like playing with people in order to get everything set up for this? That's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
Remember after Far From Home, Sony had issues with Marvel. They were doing they couldn't negotiate what,
Yes, right.
What was going on. Was that just a ploy in order to get the contract signed and everything, and what they were going to do in the long run? Was the whole point. Was the whole fight an actual fight?
But that was over money, though.
I don't think it was, though. I think it was literally them planning this out as to how they were going to branch off. It's like, okay, if we're going to bring them in here, then we can also make our own movies. That's why I think they're going to make an Amazing Spider-Man 3 or have Tobey Maguire. Supposedly, he may show up in Multiverse of Madness. This is what they're doing right now. And that's why I think that Sony is, as long as they can have I forgot what the thing was or what they get is the distribution or something.
Distribution, creative rights, and something else. I forget.
I think that was the only. You just brought something up I forgot to even say. That was my only gripe about this movie that we'll talk about at the end. How it could have ended, and it really would have amped it up a little bit. But but go ahead, Aaron. You said it was just a ploy, huh?
Yeah, well, that's what I think is that in order to hide the negotiations that were going on with Tobey Maguire, because of course Tobey Maguire, I think he said like, you guys are blessed to have me as Spider-Man in there. The guy's fucking ego is ridiculous, but yeah, he's a good Spider-Man. And then Andrew Garfield, as you were saying, like the fans when they saw all the villains, like, oh well, the Spider-Mans have to be there. In order to make this happen, I knew Andrew Garfield wouldn't be the issue coming back because he loved playing Spider-Man. He said it multiple times. I knew the issue was going to be Tobey Maguire.
But I heard with Tobey, and this was on Comic Rant, or it was another, I want to give the credit to the right people, but there was a rumor that Tobey was going to be, well, Tobey is in it, but at first Tobey was going to be Uncle Ben. That's what I had read, that he was going to be Uncle Ben. That was going to be the nod to that. And then he went and had dinner with Zendaya, which I knew, okay, something.
Tobey Maguire could never pull Marissa Tomei.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a film, but
come on.
Yeah. All right. So
agreed.
I agree with you, but it's just a film. But listen,
I rewatched Homecoming today, and I'm like, whoa, I forgot.
Who would have been a good Uncle Ben for her? Like an actor who could have played Uncle Ben? Matthew McConaughey?
No.
You just want to pair pretty people together, I guess. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of someone like
Brad Pitt.
I don't know, Joe Pesci. You know, my cousin Vinny. My cousin Vinny.
Why
Cranston.
Great responsibility.
Bryan Cranston. I've been trying to get him in all night.
Bryan Cranston. Yeah,
he would have been a good.
So we could do it. So,
but they said there was some discussion.
She married older. Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. Get a shit.
That's true. Yeah. But they said there was some discussion to include a direct reference to Ben when Peter was getting ready for his homecoming in the first of this trilogy. But they basically was going to like dress him up in the wardrobe for Homecoming in the movie Homecoming. That would have been like his Uncle Ben's wardrobe. Yeah. And they would have included a line like, oh, this was Uncle Ben's clothes.
I saw that.
To try to like basically tell the audience, hey, he does exist in this universe, but he's dead, but no big deal. But they thought,
but here, wear your dead uncle's clothes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that would have been morbid.
I like Kevin Feige's mind of his thought. We're not going to beat the same horse by introducing these characters over and over again. Like, we're not going to introduce you to the spider again. We're not going to go through all that. We already know.
The spider's the most important thing.
Yeah, I know, but they didn't want to show him getting bit. And they didn't show Oscorp or anything like that. Anyway. Let's keep going. They
basically said everything that you've seen in these other Spider-Man movies, they said they wrote a list, and they said they're not going to do that. So every time they thought about something, it's like, oh, we're not. That's why in Homecoming you didn't see him really web swing throughout the Manhattan and shit like that, because it's like, wow, we already done that. And plus, this character is just trying to learn his powers. That's why during Homecoming, when he was scaling the Washington Monument, he was still afraid of heights. You know, because he was, he's still a little kid. He just got these powers. I love that these decisions they make.
And his strength is he doesn't know his own strength, which was established in Civil War between him and Cap when they fought, and which was also established again in Homecoming when that brick thing fell on him and he didn't realize how strong he was to get it off of him. Okay, so
I love it. Yeah.
So back to No Way Home, we realized that these villains are coming in. And they all know the identity of who Spider-Man is. So then what lies is Doctor Strange comes, he finds Peter, says, you need to Scooby-Doo this shit and get all these guys back together. You need to catch them so we can send them back to their own place because they all died due to Spider-Man. Peter Parker then says, what if we could cure them before they go back home? So he's already overthinking the process. So what ends up happening is Green Goblin shows up, played by our guy Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
And the first place he goes is a military installation to get the equipment that he needs. Which I was like, so they didn't establish Oscorp. He went to a military installation to get his stuff.
That's a good point.
So I thought that was interesting. So there's no Oscorp, but the equipment was already at the military installation, which leads me to wonder who would have been Green Goblin in the MCU. So that's something we could talk about later. So then everybody is getting caught. Peter is talking to them like normal human beings, like, hey, we can help you. I can cure you, da-da-da-da-da. They all meet at Aunt May's apartment, and he's working on a cure for all of them. They got away from Doctor Strange and all this stuff, and Strange is just mad. He's just like, no, we need to send them back. But they lock Strange in a mirror universe. That's the part you probably didn't see, Aaron. They trap Strange in a mirror universe while they try to cure these villains. So they cure Dr. Octopus. They are getting ready to cure Electro, and they're getting ready to cure Sandman. But the Green Goblin entity takes over for Osborn and says, I don't want to be cured, or something to that effect. I'm perfect just how I am. And you guys have all been granted gifts from God and you don't see it. Like, he goes on this really long tangent.
These are not curses. They're gifts. Norman, no. Quiet, lapdog.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I've watched you from deep behind Norman's cowardly eyes, struggling to have everything you want, while the world tries to make you choose. Gods don't have to choose. We take.
He kills Marissa Tomei, and all the villains escape, and they all get upgrades somehow, with the exception of Dr. Octopus, who's cured. So then J. Jonah Jameson shows up, and it's all fucked up. He's just like, I told you he's a menace. He released these villains here, blah, 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 blah,
He's
blah.
kind of right,
so
though.
He was right. He was right, because had he just did what he was supposed to do, we wouldn't have had this problem.
Yeah, send their
So
ass back.
Peter disappears. MJ and Ned have a ring he got a ring. Strange. Somehow they get Strange's ring. Ned is like, I just want to see Peter. And a little portal starts to open up, and it closes. So then he says again, I want to see Peter. It opens up, and there's a Spider-Man in the alley. That Spider-Man comes running through.
The fuck was he doing in that alley?
Yeah. So he comes running
Shooting
through.
webs. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, I guess.
He's
fucking-
just in the alley. So he comes
Shoot
running
webs.
through. He comes running through, and they're like, Peter, and it's Andrew Garfield.
Peter! 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 Oh!
Hi. Hi. No. It's okay. I'm a nice guy. Okay.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Peter Parker.
That's not possible.
I'm Spider-Man.
Which the audience screams like, it's Andrew Garfield. I knew it. I fucking knew it. So he comes through. So they're like,
Which is
"Prove you're
something I
Peter
never
Parker."
did in his own Spider-Man films. It was like,
Yeah.
it's
So
it's Alex Garfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex Garfield.
But he did know about this. He said magic, space-time continuum. I knew all that stuff is real. That's what he says to Ned and MJ. So they're like, okay, let's try this again. Let's get our Peter. So they try it again, and who walks through but the OG Spider-Man walks through himself, Tobey Maguire.
And find Peter Parker. Find Peter Parker.
No.
No way.
No.
Wasn't he like walking in a park?
He was just walking like
So
out.
they're in both precarious situations, probably, maybe with hookers. I don't know.
Yeah,
Seems a
pretty
little
much.
strange to me.
So they're like, hey, this is our first time in the MCU. Let's go get some stuff.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
they're thinking.
What happens in another universe stays in
What
another
happens in the
universe.
MCU stays
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
MCU. So they both show up. So he's like, are you Spider-Man too? And he pulls down his shirt, shows his Spider-Man outfit. He's like, I don't go around broadcast. So they have a web shoot off. Then they both realize that we're both Peter Parker. So then they go look for that universe's Peter Parker. They find him. They all discuss how they lost somebody important in their lives and how they need to go ahead and how they need to cure these guys. So they all team up. They got on their Spider-Man costumes. Each one is wearing their respective costume from each movie. So there's no upgrades on it. They're all wearing their exact costume. Tobey looks a lot thinner than did you notice
I actually
that?
like that, though. I
Yeah,
like
he
that.
looked a lot slimmer and more fit. Like they were like, hey, get your ass in the gym. Like they
Yeah, I
made
like
him
that.
work out. Yeah. So then they're all going to work out. I like Tobey as the old man. Tobey's like, I really need to crack my back. So they're like stretching him out. I like that. So Tobey is like, I need to crack my back. Andrew is like,
Spider-Man number
Spider-Man
two.
number 2. And he's like, hey, I can help you do that. So he cracks his back and they all do their like calisthenic stretches. And then they all jump into battle, which is that scene you see in the commercial with the lightning, the sandstorm, and the lizard all showing up.
Yeah, the lizard getting like hit out of nowhere.
Yeah. And it's, so they all start fighting. They had all positioned the antidotes in different places, and they do what they need to do. They handle business. MJ falls off the tower. For some reason in this universe, they want to put a Captain America shield on the Statue of Liberty, which I thought was dumb. So the statue is fallen. MJ falls off. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is the one to save her because obviously he wasn't able to save Gwen.
God, that's where it's like, and then made all these TikTok videos of them going back and like, but it was the way that Andrew Garfield did it. Oh God, it pulled heartstrings, and it's like, oh man, like, oh, yeah, Gwen Stacy, but then it takes you away from the fact that it was such a terrible fucking movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and people are going back and watching it. It's like, oh, now I remember why I hated this.
Honestly, I thought that was the best part is when she died. Not for the obvious. No. I know that happens in the comic. I'm saying the scene. I know I'm talking about Amazing Spider-Man 2 when she died. Gwen Stacy. They had this montage of him, Peter Parker, Andrew Garfield at the cemetery at her gravesite, and I thought the best shot in the film was you just see the grief on his face and the seasons changing from winter to fall. I was like, that's the best shit they did in both of these films. Like that was, I felt that one. But other than that, it's
So he gets a chance to redeem himself by saving MJ in this one. So that may have negated what happened in the other two Spider-Man movies. But anyway, I digress. So he saves her. They cure all the villains with the exception of Osborn, who, I mean, they're throwing blows, man. Him and Tom Holland Spider-Man are like meleeing each other. And Willem Dafoe is taking these hits. Like, it looks, they were really going at it. Like, I forget that he's super strong.
Yeah, it seemed like they amped him up a little bit.
Yeah, so
the same as Shocker, too.
He's taking these hits, and they're going
same
at
with
it.
Shocker?
I mean, the same whiff.
Electro.
You said Shocker.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I was watching the Homecoming movie. Yeah.
Electro. So Andrew Garfield's character, I gotta say this first. He cures Electro. Electro is like, I'm drained. You know, you drained me. He said, you drained me. I'm more a god. Yeah, pretty much like that. Like, God damn, you wore me out. So he takes his mask off. And he's like, I'm sorry, Max, that I didn't do da-da-da-da-da. He's like, you're just a kid from Queens. I thought you would have been black. You know, you out there saving people. I thought you would have been black. And he's like, I'm sorry to disappoint you. To which Max Dillon says, no, you didn't disappoint me. I just know there has to be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere. I was like, fuck yeah.
I flipped the fuck out. Like,
I was like, fuck yeah. Because it took me back to something I showed Aaron before we started this podcast. There's a mock-up poster with Spider-Man's boot and Miles' Spider-Man outfit with the Air One Jordans on.
Yep.
And it says Spider-Man Homeboys. Jeez. It's a movie poster. You remember that? You remember I showed you that? And we were like, man, that's gotta happen. So it says Spider-Man Homeboys, which would have fit the home motif.
Yeah.
Because it's, so that would have been great. So anyway, Kevin Feige is listening.
Oh, I think it's going to happen.
Movie. Yeah.
100%. It's going to, Miles Morales is going to get introduced.
Yeah.
Here, probably within the next, I'd say, 10 years?
10 years. It's going to happen. So anyway, Tom Holland Spider-Man is fighting Green Goblin. He wears him down. He's getting ready to decapitate him, to which Tobey Maguire comes and steps in between the two, and they're at a stalemate. He's holding the piece of metal that Tom Holland is trying to force down onto Green Goblin.
Isn't it the glider?
The glider. He's trying to decapitate him with the glider. He finally understands what Tobey is saying, to which Tobey ends up getting shanked by Green Goblin.
And so at that point, I was like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
I was like, this is the end of Tobey. Good night, Tobey.
And that was my gripe. Yes.
Yeah. So that happened. Somehow they cure him, and he's like, I'm sorry. You know, I didn't mean to do that. You're just a kid. You know, da-da-da-da-da. So Tobey didn't die. Thank goodness.
I thought he should have.
You thought he should have?
Not because I hate Tobey, but
I agreed with you because it would have given more like
some weight
to the ending.
Yeah, man.
A little more weight with it. That this character is not coming back.
Well, I thought that was interesting too, but then they introduced that him and MJ are together. So I don't know if they're married, because he says that. He says, that's how I ended up with my MJ. Not that MJ, but my MJ. Mm-hmm. We made it work. And I thought if he didn't show up back in his universe, surely she'd be wondering what's going on. You know, like I don't know, man.
Well, see, the thing they didn't explain.
But Tobey's out, or what is it? Peter's out fucking hookers again.
They didn't explain like when these people go back. Do they go back at the exact moment they left, or do they go back?
Well, that's the other thing too. Does the cure carry over to their world? Because all these guys got cured.
Technically, those people are dead, though.
They were supposed to die.
They're supposed to die. But the whole thing is he just changed the multiverse by curing them. So they never had these problems.
So when they got snapped from the multiverse, that was right before they got killed, right? I'm assuming.
Jamie Foxx didn't look like a glow stick and
Jamie
got
Foxx
fucking
didn't have his
electrocuted
comb
by a
over.
bunch of fucking
He
fish.
didn't have his comb over. He still had his gap. So, you know, it's
excellent decision to nix
he had
that.
this.
Oh shit, he looks so fucking cool.
Yeah, he did. So he's back to being Max Dillon, just a regular dude. So we don't know what happened, and I think trying to think about what happened overthinks what happened in the multiverse. Yeah. But we do know.
Well, Max Dillon, he said the power is different in his universe, so that kind of explained why he looked different, of course.
That's true. So Strange shows up after getting out of the Mirrorverse. He gets the ring back from Ned. He's getting ready to close the multiverse to get these guys back. But did you guys notice in the multiverse as it's splitting, did you see that there were bodies in the shadows?
Oh, yeah. I heard about this.
Wasn't that cool? Like, it was different.
There are
looking
people.
Through. It was people looking through, and he was saying, I can't close it. Or what did he say? I can't.
They're coming through.
They're coming through. They're coming through. So who are these people? Were these like the Fantastic Four? Were these the mutants?
There's some of them where they explain it.
Yeah. Okay.
What is it? I forgot what post it was, but there's a couple people that are hinting to like certain characters. Possibly, is this the introduction to mutants?
Is Kang getting introduced? Because that was a whole big thing. You know what? I didn't think about that. Kang the Conqueror was in the TVA, and that timeline split open. So does that timeline splitting open correlate with this timeline splitting open?
I assume so, because Kang is supposed to be the big baddie at the end.
Yeah.
Like how Thanos was the, Infinity Saga.
Yeah.
What is this? The Multiverse Saga?
Yeah, I guess it's the mayhem, because now, okay, let's finish this off and then so everybody is back to normal. Everybody's went back to their own world. Andrew Garfield says this thing, I always wanted brothers, which I thought was corny. So he says that. Everybody goes off into their own realm. MJ doesn't know who Tom Holland is. Ned doesn't know, but they know each other. Ned and MJ know each other.
Yeah.
They don't know who Peter Parker is, even though he said, I will come find you and I will tell you who I am. But he doesn't do it. They end up getting into MIT, and he ends up going back into being a vigilante, and no one knows him. Like, none of the Avengers or the leftover Avengers, Doctor Strange, nobody. So he's back to just going out and being a hero. And that's that. But there was an end credit scene too. Don, do you remember that end credit scene?
The one with Venom?
Yes. So the end credit scene is on our Twitter, and Don brought up a really good point. So while this is all going on, Eddie Brock is at a tiki bar, and he's just drinking. And he's just like, well, wait a minute. Can you explain to me who these people are? So he's asking the bartender, he's like, you didn't know about the blip? He's like, no. I need to, what is this? He's like, so the Avengers came, and then there was Thanos, and then there was all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, man. And he's like, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And he's drinking, and Venom is talking to him. I'm paying attention to what Brock is saying. I'm not even paying attention to what Venom is saying.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, it just didn't register to me to pay attention to that. So Brock is just drunk off his ass. And he's like, yeah, I think we need to go talk to this Peter Parker. But the ring opens up, and he gets sucked out, and a little piece of the Venom symbiote is left behind, and it's moving around on the counter, and that's how it ends.
I fucking went nuts. I was like, holy, thank you. If you're not going to let them stay, then you got to like at least ensure that Venom is going to be in these movies. And
yes, I agree.
It looks like it's going to happen.
So overall, guys, which of these movies were your favorite out of these three? Homecoming, or Far From Home, and No Way Home?
Aaron, you want to go first?
Technically, I haven't seen No Way Home. but I would probably say No Way Home. I honestly, like, Far From Home was good, but then you have, like, literally the pandemic started as soon as that movie came out, like, and it was out for a little bit. And then they showed it
But
on,
it was the first Spider-Man movie to gross over $1 billion, despite all that.
And that, like, Homecoming was good. It was, like... I was really happy to see him. I wish he would have done more stuff where, you know, like he's going through the city and...
Oh, so you did want to see that?
Yeah, kind of. It's one of the things that I enjoy about the Spider-Man series, you know, him being able to do all that. And then plus if they came out with a video game, which, you know, Sony came out with the Spider-Man PlayStation,
game.
The game for that, which I haven't been able to play because I have a fucking Xbox.
Yeah, Spider-Man, it's two of them. Is one with Peter Parker, and then there's one with Miles Morales. I know which ones you're talking about. I too have an Xbox, and I'm not buying a PlayStation. I would love to. But...
I have one. Oh man, it's good. I just started playing the Miles Morales one. It's fucking fantastic. But I thought Homecoming, after rewatching that again, I was like, man, I forgot how good this shit is. Keaton's fucking fantastic. Just to see his face. Because I've loved him since Batman and Beetlejuice and all that. But Homecoming is probably my second favorite. But I told you weeks before you saw the new one, No Way Home, that this shit is so good. It washes almost those Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans, those Mark Webb Spider-Mans. It almost washes them clean because how good they incorporated that character. I'm like, hell, I actually would want to see Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
And that's why you're seeing like all these TikToks and reels of like them going back to the Mark Webb ones and then going to No Way Home. But then when you go and watch it, it's still a really shitty movie.
Oh my god.
But once you pair them together, it's like pairing red wine or with like a decent meal. But like the wine enhances the meal. I know that sounds weird. But what I'm saying is, if you just pair No Way Home with those shitty movies, No Way Home kind of enhances those shitty movies because they reference each other. So, and it's like, okay, Andrew Garfield still is not great, but at least some of the shit now makes sense a little bit.
It's like having a steak, and instead of the wine, they give you Mountain Dew. But then you pour a little whiskey in the Mountain Dew.
It's
all better.
Whiskey and Mountain Dew.
Well, you know
that's
what?
a NASCAR special, baby.
Really?
I'll say this. So my favorite is this. My favorite is No Way Home. I liked Homecoming and I liked Far From Home, but No Way Home was cool for me because I like the introduction of the multiverse and where it's going. Now, it's not to say that I want it to be ongoing. I do want Marvel to at least come to a stopping point, but I like the idea of these other characters being introduced. You know, I want to see what they do with the mutants. I want to see what they do with the Fantastic Four. I want to see who these other beings were that was looking through, because I read an article where they talked about, if you paid attention to the Eternals, the Eternals pretty much work for those higher beings.
Celestials.
The Celestials. But the Celestials work for an even higher being.
Celestial
and that's
Prime
the thing.
Or something?
Yeah, something like that. But pretty much what they're saying is there's always a bigger fish. So I'm curious to know who's the biggest fish and if they're ever going to get to that point.
I don't know. You think maybe... Well, I know Galactus. He's not the bigger fish, but he is a Celestial.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of like...
Is Galactus
before I even saw the Eternals and I only saw a picture of it, I thought that Celestial that was coming out of the Earth was Galactus.
I did too, but he's not a Celestial. He's something else.
Not.
He's a cosmic entity. He was born out of the egg, the great egg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he can kill Celestials.
But that helmet, those eyes from Tiamat look like the helmet that he wears. So I agree. I thought that too. I was like, okay, this must be Galactus coming. But Eternal sucked. But you know,
I didn't think it sucked.
Definitely stylish, but it's,
Chloe Zhao did a really good job with the art direction of it, but it just wasn't for me. It wasn't. It was more like in the line of Troy. If you remember Troy.
Oh, well, Brad Pitt.
Kind of reminded me of something like that. Like,
well, No Way Home. And the thing we complain about some of those Webb films and some of those, the Tobey Maguire films, is that they, like the third film in that trilogy, they added too many things. But in this film, they were able to add all these supervillains, and it still felt like a great movie. Like I wasn't distracted.
Closest thing that we got to like a Sinister Six movie.
You know what? That's absolutely right, man. And I don't know if Tom Holland comes back and they do a Sinister Six, that'll be great. But if they don't, I'm content with what they came up with.
Yeah.
Because this was a really sweet fan service movie that catered to people who have wanted to know what happened. Because even Andrew poked fun at, I had to fight a guy in a rhino machine.
Oh,
that's the craziest villain that I ever had to
Let's
fight.
not get on Paul Giamatti again. Let's focus at the task at hand.
But he defeated him, so it is what it is. So I was
Doesn't
watching
look that hard. A 5 foot tall fucking fat dude.
He was in a mechanical tank.
It doesn't matter. The way that the guy was pointed down to, it was like there's no way he could see where he was going. He's fucking
That's true,
rushing.
because the neck. How does he pilot that? That's
maybe he has
was he
like
a cyborg? Was he? What was he?
He maybe had like a LED screen inside the suit that he
fueled on Strombolis and fucking
Stromboli.
I already lost a lot of weight recently, Giamatti.
Congratulations.
All right, so we're all in agreement that these films were done right, and that they ended well, and we'll see what happens with the character in the future. But I am fascinated to see. Go ahead, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was gonna say with the Raimi film, and Amazing Spider-Man, there were issues. Raimi's films, you go into the third one, and there were issues with that. I think the first and the second one were perfect. Amazing Spider-Man was just kind of poor in the direction, in the writing, where the MCU, they got it 100% right.
That's Disney, man. They slapped that dick on it, and they know exactly what they're doing.
that big old D.
Disney does it, man. Disney does it
that
best.
Mickey Mouse cock.
Yeah, they fucking come in there and they're like, "This is how we're gonna handle this," and they do it.
There's a plan. It's a fucking. It was a concrete fucking plan, and I loved it. I loved how they phased him in. They didn't okay, you're gonna see how he got bit by the spider, and this is no, who this guy is. Now I will say, unlike those other two Spider-Man franchises, they didn't have the benefit of including Iron Man in their fucking movies.
Yeah, and they poke fun at that too. Like, what are the Avengers? That's a rock band?
You're right. I wonder what they would have done if they had those resources to include the Avengers in their movies.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's a conversation for another pod where we can discuss who would have been the right characters or actors to play Avengers in those films. That's a pod within itself. Like, who could we think of to play Paul Giamatti as Tony Stark?
No, it's Tom
there
Cruise.
You go.
Jesus.
Tom Cruise. Hey man, we're gonna see.
Paul Giamatti is all the Avengers.
Yes. Could you imagine Paul Giamatti as Scarlet Witch?
I was gonna say Black Widow.
God, Black Widow.
Spandex. And little fucking hair on his chest.
So instead of having the red hair on his head, it's like the red hair is on his chest.
No, I was gonna say no red hair. It's just Paul Giamatti in a fucking
no explanation, just Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a wrap, man. We made it through.
Yeah. We made it through all the Spider-Man movies.
How many movies is that? 8?
Yeah, 8. If we're going based off of appearances, then technically it's 9. But movie-wise, 8 films. We appreciate all you guys coming on this ride with us. We hope to see more Spider-Man films, and from the looks of it, from just things getting leaked recently, and also with Morbius, that having the Spider-Man in the background, is he in the MCU? Because you have Keaton, in there. And then, I don't know. I think there's going to be more stories being told.
Yep, because we know Blade is coming, and Blade has interactions with Spider-Man 2.
But Morbius technically is Sony. It has nothing to do, MCU has nothing to do with it. Yeah. But you have Michael Keaton in there, and then you also have Marshall. God,
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah. Yes,
is that right?
But he was just in the Eternals, the end credit scene as the voice. You're probably going to see him in the new Moon Knight series, I'm assuming. And then you're going to there's other things that could happen with the Moon Knight thing, establishing the whole Ra thing, the fight between these gods and whatnot. And then, I don't know. Spider-Man is in almost every single like one of these comics, so there's a lot that they could do with the character. Do I think they're going to do another series? I think they might do another 3 films, and then Holland is probably done. I would think.
Well, that's a long time
because they Secret Wars, you're going to have that. He's got to be in Secret Wars. So, and you know what, I think, didn't the black suit first appear in Secret Wars?
Yeah, I think so.
Did it?
Yeah, so that's the black and white suit was in Secret Wars, right?
Yeah, it was. Well, that was like Spider-Man was his own series going on with that, but at the time, every single like team up and whatnot, Spider-Man was in the black suit, I believe.
Yeah.
So and from one of the leaks too, what I was saying earlier, there's a picture that was drawn out of Spider-Man's hand in the symbiote, and it's done by someone that does a lot of the poster art for Sony for the Spider-Man films. And he was saying, so glad to be back to work. And I'm like, oh shit. So this could either be Andrew Garfield, or this could be, because I think they're planning on bringing those characters back into the fold in a sense whenever they need them. And Andrew Garfield has said that he's down to play it again. But I think Tom Holland, if they go, at least in my belief, where they're going to go next is probably a darker storyline.
Yes. So I think we're going to get a lot more of these characters showing up. Venom, the black suit. We'll see who Eddie Brock is going to be. But until then, if you guys have any comments, questions, interests you want to bring up, theories too, because you know what, man, that's what our Twitter is for. Feel free to write us on there. Apparently I failed the poll that I put.
Apparently
most the thing that won was no one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares. So it was yes, no, and no one cares. And how it went was no one cares came in first, no came in second, and yes came in third. And there was only 8 people who voted.
It was tied. It was tied, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was tied, but then it changed.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. So,
wow.
But you know what, man? That's what this is all about. Fan interaction, talking with people, getting a better understanding of the source. If you have any comments, if we said anything wrong about Spider-Man, like we missed something, feel free to email us, write us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Tell us how fucking stupid we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Hit us up on the webpage. Just got a new blog. It's going to be on 90 Snack Food. So looking forward to hearing you guys' feedback. And do you guys have any podcast recommendations or people you've been listening to?
Yeah, actually, I do have one. And actually, let me pull it up real quick.
While you're looking, Aaron, I do have one that I want to bring up. It's a family-friendly podcast that I was listening to when I traveled to Michigan. It's called The Meddling Kids, a Scooby-Doo podcast. They do a breakdown of every Scooby-Doo episode that has come on, each iteration. If you're into Scooby-Doo and, wondering if Fred was a serial killer, that's the one you want to listen to.
Well, mine is called Penny Royal. And as most of you know, I'm very much into the left-hand path, the right-hand path, and digging up Satanist type things and how the world was built around different groups, different sects of people. And this season is mainly about the highway system and how it was built to bring back Pan. And it's pretty interesting.
The Fawn Pan?
Yeah, Pan. Oh, if you start listening to this thing, dude, it's pretty messed up. It's weird, and a lot of this takes place in a certain town, which I'm not going to say what it is. Well, no, it doesn't matter. Somerset, Kentucky, and this is all them talking about it. Almost all happening in real time, and it's pretty. Some of the shit that comes out is pretty disturbing.
Oh my gosh, I'm already.
But yeah, I love it. I'm hooked. I'm hooked.
Right.
I've been hooked since season 1, and season 1 came out I think in 2020, and they just started doing season 2. But other than that, I don't get to listen to podcasts as much anymore, so I try to choose ones that I can listen to on the weekend.
Well, with that being said, we'll close it out, and thank you guys for listening, and catch you on the next one.
Rate and subscribe, everyone. We appreciate you guys listening, and tell your friends, your mothers, your fathers, your grandmothers, your grandfathers, your stepdads that, you hate and whatnot, or stepmoms that keep you in a closet. Tell everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he said. Okay.
Hey guys, it's Aaron. You think you could do me a big fave? Wherever you're listening to this right now, rate and subscribe. Find new episodes where you listen to podcasts, and look for us on all the social media sites and Gmail at AfterSchoolSpecialPodcast@Gmail, AfterSchoolSpecialPodcast at Instagram and Facebook, and AfterSchoolSPE3 on Twitter.
But my publisher came to me and he said, Stan, I want you to come up with another superhero. So I said, okay, and I went home and I saw a fly crawling on the wall. And I said, hey, if I could get a superhero that could stick to walls and crawl on them, man, that would be cool. So I thought that was good. Now I needed a name. So I said, well, let's see, Fly Man, Mosquito Man. I got down to Spider-Man. Spider-Man. It just sounded dramatic.